A Montrose man fought the law, and today he won. This all stemmed from an incident last October where police had ticketed a man for swearing at them.
Can I get a phone number for you?
Nope.
So you get cited for disorderly conduct, obscene gesture. It's a $120 fine. You have a court date of November 28th. You should just sign on the app saying you'll take care of it beforehand or do it.
I'm not signing nothing.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm not signing anything. Disorderly conduct.
Can't be going
You're about an idiot. You're an idiot, man. You're a dumbass.
And that's why you're getting a citation.
Yeah. It's a citation. I'll beat it when I go to court. You idiot.
Okay. Now don't take your sad inhibitions on life out on somebody else.
Shut the up.
Have a wonderful day.
Shut the up. Shut up. Shut up, dildo. You know, if you know that you've done nothing wrong, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Fight. Fight for your rights.
We first started covering Josh's story about 3 months ago. He sends me some emails that are really hard to believe, along with a video that proves everything that he's saying. He's trying to go through a drive-through lane to get some coffee, but notices the lane is totally blocked off by police. He drives by them, throws a few cuss words at them, and then flips them one of these. The officer pulls him over and winds up citing him for a city ordinance of making an obscene gesture or using profanity. It's a $120 ticket, but it's not about the money, it's about the principle. And despite being offered several deals by the district attorney, he wound up paying $300 for the body cam footage and $3,000 for a lawyer. Almost $3,100 for a $120 ticket, all based on principle. He refused every deal the district attorney offered. He took it all the way in front of a judge, and a judge ruled in his favor. And shout out to the mainstream media, because they actually connected him with his lawyer. Here's what they had to say.
A Montrose man fought the law, and today he won. This all stemmed from an incident last October where police had ticketed a man for swearing at them.
This morning, a judge dismissed the case after concluding what the man said was constitutionally protected freedom of speech. Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates brought us this story last month. He joins us now. And Kevin, it sounds like this might not be the end, though, here.
Well, Kim and Tom, now that this criminal case has been dismissed, the man's attorney has promised to file a federal civil rights lawsuit. It was a stolen car case that could have been most memorable for the discovery of a sex toy.
I'm so sorry.
Could have been if Josh Smith hadn't shown up and voiced his displeasure that police cars made it tough to get into the drive-through lane at Humdinger's.
When I said what I said, and then I thought it was over with.
It wasn't.
Quit yelling or you're going to get a citation, understood?
And after round 2,
They said nobody could get to the drive-thru for a half an hour.
that officer made good on his promise, ticketing Smith for making an obscene gesture.
Not signing anything.
That was later amended to interfering with police. Wednesday morning, the judge called Smith's behavior immature, offensive, and unnecessary, but also said it was free speech protected by the First Amendment. Bottom line, the interference charge was unconstitutional as applied in this case based on these facts.
I pretty much knew that we would win. I just didn't. I thought it would be I thought it was going to actually have to go to trial.
That trial had been set for next week in Montrose Municipal Court. The question now is whether Smith will sue the city in federal court. The biggest question for the judge was ultimately whether Smith interfered with the work of those officers. In the ruling, the judge noted that the other officers were not prevented in searching that vehicle and doing the other things they were doing there. In the meantime, Smith's attorney has said he will sue Montrose for violating his constitutional right to free speech. We'll report on that if and when it happens. Live in the newsroom, Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
Like you said, it started out one way, and then all it took was him engaging here. And again, what was the citation?
He was originally charged with making an obscene gesture that later was changed to interfering with police. But the judge said he did not interfere with the work they were doing.
Right, he was just expressing himself. Okay, all right, thank you, Kevin.
So I'm the first to cover this video, then Lackluster, then Channel 9 News, even TMZ. But 2 things are apparent from this video. The cops violated his rights, and he won. And now he's suing them in federal court. I'm going to play the original video I posted for you 3 months ago, but stay tuned to the very end, because you'll see my exclusive video interview with Josh, and you'll find out exactly where we are now. On October 8th, Josh noticed several Montrose cops from Montrose, Colorado, just hanging around blocking the entrance to an A&W restaurant. He told them to get the hell out of the way and then gave them one of these. Now, you all know from recent videos of mine that cops really hate getting the middle finger, and even though it's protected speech upheld by the Supreme Court, they're arresting people left and right on it. So after Josh got his food, he exited the A&W, and then he was pulled over by one of these butthurt cops. And he was given a $120 ticket simply for flipping the bird. Josh filed a complaint about this. And of course, per usual, the police investigated themselves and found that they had done no wrongdoing. It's been over 20 days ago and he still hasn't received the body cam footage that he's requested either. And to really stick it to him, they made his court date on Thanksgiving. Municipalities are still closed on Thanksgiving. Not the brightest bulb in the box. And this is the citation that he got. Charged with disorderly conduct for an obscene gesture. Now, police are doing this all over the nation. Despite your First Amendment right for free speech and to petition the government for a redress of your grievances. Despite the Supreme Court ruling on this very issue over and over again. And coming back with the same results, that the middle finger is protected speech. And despite municipalities across the country getting sued for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, cops are still doing it. Knowing that you, the taxpayers, are going to foot the bill for every lawsuit that's filed over a cop's broken, brittle, and obliterated hurt feelings.
For what? For what? What is my citation for? Oh, yeah, that's a citation for what? For what?
Identify yourself.
No, I'm not. But okay. What am I getting pulled over for?
Jamie Scott, something like that.
Huh?
Any weapons?
There you go, bud. Pile of shit. You. Oh, a ticket! For what? Dumb.
He then spends the next several minutes giving this cop the worst tongue lashing he's ever received in his whole life. Legend has it that Josh had such an impact on this police officer that the officer's vagina still cries tears of sorrow to this very day. Our hearts go out to this officer and his sorrowful teared vagina.
What should you do when you're pulled over by a cop? Just what are your rights and your obligations?
Get out of the car! And then I will light you up! Get out!
As you can see, traffic stops go south real quick. The only thing to protect you against an armed individual with unlimited resources for backup and lethal weapons is your camera. And as soon as you press the record button, it gives you magical powers. You have the ability to own, troll, and hold the police accountable in seconds. But that won't always stop the retaliation.
All right, Mr. Smith, there's your driver's license back. Can I get a phone number for you?
Nope.
I didn't hear you.
Nope.
Nope. All right. So you get cited for disorderly conduct, obscene gesture. It's a $120 fine. You have a court date of November 28th, 2024 at Montrose Municipal Court. If you don't wish to pay the fine, you want to plead not guilty. If you do want to pay the fine, it's a $120 fine. Pay it before that November 28th date, okay? Information on the back of the citation on how to do that. You should just sign on the X saying you'll take care of it beforehand or do it.
I'm not signing nothing.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm not signing anything.
Okay. Refusing to sign?
Disorderly conduct.
Can't be going
You're about an
flipping
idiot.
people off
You're an
and
idiot, man.
people.
You're a dumb.
And that's why you're getting a citation.
Yeah. It's a citation. I'll beat it when I go to court. You idiot.
For?
Stupid. Waste of time.
Okay. Now don't take your
Where?
sad inhibitions on life fight on somebody else.
Shut
okay?
the up.
Have a wonderful day.
Shut the up. Shut up. Give a who you are. Shut up, dildo. Suck a
So let me get this right. You have the right to petition the government for redress of your grievances, but if you redress, you'll get a ticket. You have the right to free speech, but if you express that free speech, you'll get a ticket or you'll go to jail. Where is the accountability? It seems to me that the accountability is only monetary and financial, and the responsibility for that accountability is your wallet and your tax dollars. Because even though the Supreme Court has ruled that flipping one of these is completely legal and protected, the cops are still arresting you for it. And then when you sue, it's us, the taxpayers, that have to pay for it. So the police are literally doing the crime, but never the time. I mean, look at it this way. The police are doing something wrong, and the government is punishing other people for it. Flip the script for a second. Say a cop pulls you over, and they notice that the passenger is committing several crimes. And the officer says to the passenger, listen, you've just broken several laws, very serious offenses. But I'm going to arrest the driver for it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to punish one person for another's transgressions. Well, neither does the cop doing something wrong and then us having to pay for it with our hard-earned money. And that's the reason I stopped you today.
So you guys remember this video? I mean, it struck me when it happened, and this all started because of a toy, a big toy. The cops are blocking a parking lot. Guys, upset that he can't get through because they're doing this useless investigation. So he tells him to F off. He flips him one of these, and then the cop says, I'm going to get him. Guy drives down the road. The next thing you know, the cop pulls over, and then, well, I'm telling the story. I wish there was a way that the guy who just beat this in court could tell the story if only there was. Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, man? So you emailed me originally when this happened, and I remember watching the video, and I was blown away. Take me through your feelings after this whole thing happened, and you look at the video and you says, "Oh my God."
I was like, well, at first I was like, I got the body cam footage. At first I didn't see the sex toy at all. I didn't know anything that was even involved in anything. And then I'm like, well, that's when I decided to fight it, because after I'm like, this isn't right. So then I'm like, I go down and apply for the body cam footage, the police reports and everything. And then I'm reviewing the body cam footage on my laptop, just going through everything. And I see the sex toy, and I see them sticking it on the side of the car. And then I'm like, well, this isn't right. So then at that point, that's when I started emailing anybody who had, like, I emailed you the story. I emailed you my camera footage first. And then I emailed like 9 News, TMZ. TMZ ran the story with the sex toy. I emailed the newspapers. Lackluster. I mean, Lackluster did the story too. I don't know if you saw that one, but
I did. You know what's crazy? That it should be front page newsworthy that you flip off a cop and you wind up getting pulled over and cited criminally for it. But the story took on a life of its own because of this toy. I mean, this poor toy had been profiled by police. Its Fourth Amendment rights were not respected. So you kind of have two aspects of the story going. And the next thing you know, it's news everywhere. Like you said, TMZ, me, Lackluster, 9 News has been covering it. And the thing that I found interesting from the beginning is you told me, like, you've been giving me, updates every time an update comes in. They offered me this, they offered me that. And most people in your position, or in a position where, they're not like a professional activist like me, right? Like you're out, you're an everyday American, you love your rights, you're not willing to give them up. And a lot of times people take these deals where they're like, you know what? I could risk a lot more if I lost at trial. Maybe the best thing to do is just take this deal. It's not going to affect me. And you've been consistently saying, I'm not taking any deals. I'm taking this all the way to trial. Are you glad that you did that? And what was behind that choice making?
Yeah, I'm very glad that I did. Um, I just, it's, well, like it's this started, like I started off, I paid for, I was paying for a lawyer. Was going to charge me $3,000. And he's like, up front, I'm not going to be able to get you off on anything. You're not going to get away scot free. And I'm like, no, hell no. So I was like, I basically fired him, got my money back. And then that's when like the 9 News actually put me in touch with David Lane. That's like his like go-to like analyst, like, lawyer, analyst for like lawyers and, judicial stuff like that. That's the go-to guy. So then David Lane ends up calling me and then just takes on the case. So it was like, I don't know, it's just fell into my lap. David Lane, taking the case on. And then once I knew I had him, I wasn't backing down. I wasn't going away.
So you're telling me that a renowned criminal defense and civil litigation attorney, I can't believe the mainstream media puts you in touch with the lawyer that gets this whole thing dismissed. So I guess in this instance, shout out to mainstream media, right?
Exactly. Like literally, I wouldn't have gotten in touch with him if it wasn't for 9 News.
When you were pulled over by this police officer, what was running through your head when you see the lights in the rear view?
Well, first off, I have attorney shield. I tried to use my attorney shield and it would not connect. I tried 3 times to connect before the cop came up to my car, and it just wouldn't connect.
I spoke to Lackluster. I told him, and he said, put him in touch with me. I'm very, very sorry. Like anything, they experienced some technical difficulties, but I implore everyone to get Attorney Shield. Dale, Sean, they're both good friends of mine. I think they did good work putting it together. This time it malfunctioned, but I think that you were far better off with Josh Shield than Attorney Shield. I mean,
Yeah.
Your self-representation was fantastic. Were you expecting him to give you a ticket or a charge?
I was just expecting him to like scold me like a school kid or something, like that's all I was expecting.
You get the charge and you tell him to F off, and then you call him the toy that he found. He was very, very upset. I'm sure he was positive that he was going to win this in court. And the judge kind of agreed that what you said was profane and it wasn't very mature. However, it was absolutely constitutional. And she used the other officers, or the judge, excuse me, used the other officers as an example of how you didn't violate any laws. Well, the other officers that were right next to you were able to continue doing their job. You chose to leave the scene and then pull this man over and then continue to pursue criminal charges. So when the judge tells you you're innocent, what's the feeling going through your head?
Amazing. Justified, like, I'm justified, like, for all the fight that I put up at that point.
Now, you said in the news interview that you were sure that you were going to win. Did that, certainty ever waver?
No, I knew I was going to win. I just literally thought that we were going to have to go to trial, and then I thought that we were going to have to appeal it. Like we were going to win on appeals is what I thought was really literally going to have to happen.
So now, I mean, and rightfully so, the situation does not end here. You are an everyday American enjoying your rights to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, engaged in no crimes. You chose to say something that you're legally able to say, and this whole thing happens. I think it's clear that this cop reacted on feelings, which most of them do. He was butthurt, and he decided someone is not going to speak to me that way. I am their oppressor. Only I can speak to them that way. And then all of this unfolds. So you held them accountable in the criminal courts, and now you're suing them, right?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I think it's the only way to get any real work done. You hit these guys in the pocket, that's when it starts to matter. That's when other people start looking at it, because the problem here is that, citizens pay the bill, right? It's like if you're getting pulled over and the passenger in your car just committed a terrible crime, and the police officer says, I understand the passenger just did what they did, but we're going to make you pay for it. So they don't have a lot of fear, because they figure even if I do get sued, it doesn't come out of my paycheck. The problem in that thought process is they forget that they need budgets, and that their superiors will back the blue until the budget is in question, until federal grants are in question. And when they start losing money from their Axon or their new car budget or whatever it is, that now that money is being reallocated to you. Now they're going to have a problem with what this officer did. I don't want you to discuss with me or us anything that was held in confidence. Can you tell me, with your attorney, can you tell me a roundabout number that you'd be satisfied getting for as part of a civil arrest case?
I have absolutely zero clue. I have no clue. I haven't even talked, we have not talked zero numbers. So I have no clue what it's even, what to even start at. I have no clue.
I mean, the bar is difficult in a case where there's no arrest, right? Now, technically there is arrest and you're released on summons. There's no physical injury. So when these types of cases go in front of a jury, it's hard for them to quantify a number, right? They want to see hospital records. They want to see, the amount of the prescription that you paid and all this stuff. Mm. However, in this case, you have the benefit of going into it with a judge saying you broke no law, right? So everything the cop did doesn't pass constitutional muster. So you have an arrest to release. You have a violation of your free speech. I'm assuming what your lawyer is going to do is sue the officer in the state court, and then the negligent supervision of him, and then separately in the federal court for a deprivation of your rights. But I think you're probably looking at least 150 grand, my man.
Dang.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Time to take care of disabled.
Yeah, I mean, that would help tremendously. I have my wife's disabled, so I work and then I take care of her, and so yeah.
Yeah, the little you spend all your time taking care of your wife, the little time you have out, you get falsely charged by police. They're going to bring it to the table as soon as your lawyer. He's going to send an intent notice over the department. The department is going to have between 6 to 9 months to look at that intent notice and do one of three things. They can respond and say, we're willing to talk to you. What do you want to do? They can just ignore the whole thing, or they can tell you to go pound sand. I think in this case, especially, you have the luxury most don't have. By the time you're going to civil court, the criminal court has not only been settled, but it's been ruled on in a very concise way. This judge wrote the ruling as if she was writing precedent. And I guess for all intents and purposes, it is. But I guess it depends on if they are willing to talk to you just after the intent. It hasn't been filed in federal court or state court yet. They're going to start arbitrating. They're going to start talking to your lawyer. They're going to sit down, talk numbers. And then it just depends on how willing you are to get that money as fast as possible. Do you want to, because the way the state looks at it is, if we put this out to trial, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars for litigation. Separately, even if a jury gives this guy $1, they might say, you know what, this guy absolutely got his rights violated. The cop was totally in the wrong, but I don't appreciate the language. He was kind of a jerk about it. Let's award him $1 just to screw it to him. Even if you're awarded $1, the state's now responsible for paying all of your attorney's fees. Yeah. So at that point, it could be in the numbers of $250,000, $300,000. So the way they look at this is, we can settle this now.
Cheaper.
They sent us an intent.
save us a whole bunch of money. Anything under that $250,000, $300,000 mark is a win for us. Or maybe we don't answer the intent notice. We wait till it gets filed in court. And when a judge has a pretrial on this, then we can start talking numbers. But if you're just trying to get away with some quick money to sock it to him, I can't see you walking away from this with anything less than 65 grand. I'm not a lawyer, but just in my experience with this type of stuff, an arrest was made, right? It was a release, but I think that you're going to be walking away with a healthy chunk of change here.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, you deserve it, man. What has the department said? Have you spoke to any other officers, the chief, any superiors in this department about this guy's behavior?
Oh, I tried to file a complaint like the very next day, I think it was. I went down and they're like, well, just leave a message and the chief will call you back. Or no, it was a lieutenant that would call me back. And then I literally went back to work, and then I was driving home and he called me. So I pulled on the side of the road and I talked to him, and he's like, well, I reviewed all the body cam footage and I found no wrongdoing. He did nothing wrong. And I'm like, really? And I just hung up on him.
You know, I thank the chief for his honesty in admitting that he is not up to or fit for the role of chief of police. And this is why 6 weeks of training is always a bad thing. These cops think with 6 weeks of training that they are prepared for everything, right? The normal average career of a law enforcement officer is around 20 years. So 6 weeks of their training only accounts for 0.015% of their time as a law enforcement officer. So this chief is saying, well, I looked at the body cam. I didn't find anything wrong. Now a judge is reviewing it and say, wait a second, I found a whole bunch of things wrong. This judge in her own ruling has now proved that this chief is not fit to serve. He's not fit to be in a leadership role either. In a perfect world for you, how would you like to see this play out at the end of the day? Lawsuit, accountability for the cops. What's a perfect world for you?
Well, I want the lawsuit. I want that unconstitutional city ordinance to be gone. And they need to get training. The police officers need to get training. The crazy thing is here, they do in-house police academy.
Wow. To be honest with you, that's the second time I've only ever heard of that happening. Folks, what he's referring to is in-house police academy. Normally, there is a standard of training that multiple law enforcement agencies have officers as teachers or professors for this. And there's a state-sponsored place where they go and they get these classes. And a municipality doesn't have any jurisdiction over these guys. Sometimes, usually in small places, they're allowed to get through it with, bylaws in the charter. They train their own police. There's very vague, criteria that the state provides, and they can basically create whatever they want, which makes sense that they've created these cops. Do you feel let down by the police department?
Yeah, very let down. I have so many stories. Like, I gotten pulled over for a cracked windshield doing 70 down the highway. And really, then they pull me over for that, and they try to get me for a DUI. I have so many stories I can go on about this. It's horrible. It's like, and you see, like, I got pulled over for not stopping long enough at a turn signal, at a turn light. Okay, I got pulled over, got a ticket, blah, 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 blah. Every time I go to work at the same light, people do it every day, the same thing I did, and they don't get pulled over.
Are you afraid now that you've beat the case in court that you're going to be suing, and this case has just gone like crazy public? Are you afraid that something might happen to you?
Yes, me and my girlfriend we lock the door. We lock the door, but we lock the screen door, like when we're just sitting in here, so nobody can just come and barge in my door,
So what do you mean? It's a barge in your door? Like, what are you afraid? Are you afraid the police are gonna break into your home and attack you?
Well, I don't put it past anybody to do anything. I have a camera that I put out in front. It's a body camera. It's like a dash camera, body camera slash everything, but I put that in the window. I mean, it's, you know, I just,
We live in a city that is a very small city that is attached. The citizens very much back the police.
yeah, like here, there's a bunch of bootlickers. That's all that's in this town.
So this has damaged you so much to the point where you're doing things out of your ordinary schedule, where you wouldn't lock the door on the screen before, you're locking it now. You now have put up cameras and security systems because you're in fear. That's a big thing your lawyer is going to discuss with you. Undue stress, undue emotional infliction is distress. You know, you're doing things that you didn't normally do now because you're in fear. The fear is attributed to the actions of that police officer. A judge has decided that those actions were unconstitutional, unlawful, and illegal. And this is where, folks, the money starts coming in. Now, you can't really put a dollar sign on emotional, because in the moment when you hear a small noise and you look to the left or the right and you freak out, it's not worth the money to go through that. And I think Josh in that case would be like, well, I wish I could give up any money and just go back so this never happened. Unfortunately, that day, this police officer made a decision for himself. He also made a decision for Josh that would change both of their lives and also intertwine their lives forever. And now a man who sits at home, takes care of his wife, health-wise, goes out to work, is literally, his sanctuary is his home, right? With his wife, who he's taking care of. And now that sanctuary, that safety has been threatened. For a person to feel unsafe in their own home is in itself extremely fearful. And you know what? I would be in his position also. I'd be scared too. I've been in his position and I've been scared. You never know what can happen. And people say, oh, well, the police wouldn't do that. There's an unconstitutional ordinance that says you can't swear. A judge from that very county has said that ordinance is bullshit, and they're still willing to arrest and retaliate against the citizen for not obeying that law. I mean, listen, legislative, executive, and judicial. There are a reason that the government is separated and that the government should be limited. The cop's job is to simply enforce the law, right? It's the judicial branch's job to say what the law is and interpret it. When you have the judicial branch saying this law, it doesn't pass the constitutional muster, it's no good, and then you have law enforcement saying, oh, well, we're gonna do it anyways. You've proven that law doesn't really matter. They're not enforcing law. They're enforcing and imposing their own will. And they're doing it to Americans like this. I mean, this is a good guy who only wanted justice and would never quit. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but you were determined to never quit, even if that led you to a jail cell.
Oh yes, definitely. Like that was, well, when they upped the charge, because it was originally $120 ticket, and I was like, I'm not fucking paying $120. I did nothing wrong. So that's when I got the body cam. I spent like, $60 on the body cam footage and and then I'm like, no, it's
Up the chart.
and then they upped the charge from obstruction to interference, and that's a year in jail if found guilty.
Well, this is what America looks like, folks. Break down exactly what Josh just said. It was a $120 ticket. He already ate up half that by paying the body cam footage. He sent $3,000 to a lawyer. So for something he could have solved for $120, he put $3,060 into it just because of principle. Americans like this don't exist anymore. They don't. He's the unicorn, right? That's what he is. People just want to bow down. And even if it cost him all of his money in his jail, he was willing to do the right thing. So people like you didn't have to step into a situation you were afraid to step into. People like you knew what to say the next time a cop pulled them over for using a hand gesture they didn't like. We don't live in Nazi Germany. We live in the United States of America. And I have to say, I would argue and stand by it, that because of this man, it is a much safer America. It is a much more free America, and it is a much more accountable America. I love when I get stories that I cover where the update comes through and they get found not innocent, found not guilty. And people say, oh, well, you know, the system was working. The justice system was working. The judge was working. You know, this is America. It was none of that, right? It was pure determination and perseverance by this man to not give up his unalienable rights, because they're not negotiable. They're unalienable.
If it was working, I wouldn't have been in the situation.
Exactly. Right. And some people are going to be like, oh, you know, great on the judge. The judge did a job. We're getting ready to celebrate this judge and whatever potential jury there was for finding that he did nothing wrong. This is a bad place in America when we get excited, like, oh, that was a good cop. He didn't arrest me for filming. Like, that was a good judge. She let me off the hook. We shouldn't be excited. We should just be like, okay, they did their job. That is the system working. Him getting arrested is proof that the system is broken. Now, this judge did do a good job. She could have sent it to trial. The judge didn't have to, you know, give the ruling that they gave. And we appreciate that, but the judge just did their job. The only person that didn't do their job is Josh, because this isn't Josh's job. His job is to live in a free country and enjoy all of the freedoms in the country that he lives in. None of this is something that was supposed to happen to him.
How about, have you ever heard of that when I was telling you about the court of no records? Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Very briefly.
That shit blew my mind. No court reporter. There's no transcripts. There's nothing from a daily, everyday court. It's beyond me.
And I have heard of this before, and I think the contest actually was a couple years ago where it's like, you know, the question is not that you're not doing it, but what if this client, as part of his discovery, wanted to get, you know, the typography from the court reporter for their defense or what have you. If it's non-existing, then it's not in compliance. But I think this is the works of a system that wants to skirt accountability and transparency. The problem is that they weren't able to do it with you. This officer is 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, watching this video right now. Now, he's not going to give you the time of the day if you go to the department. The chief is a giant turd with feet, but you have his undivided attention right now. What do you want to say to the officer that did this to you?
Know your laws.
Why don't you go and get some First Amendment training, which you should have had to begin with. And thank you.
You know what? You can also give him, Josh, one of these, because he won't win that arrest. You know, and I say to people, too, like, listen, you won your lawsuit, send a Christmas card. You know what I mean? Thanks. Thanks for the new truck. Thanks for the new car. Thanks for playing my new PlayStation, whatever. Say thank you. Yeah, but we the people need to say thank you to you, man. It gives me, honestly, I sent you an email, and I'm not sharing the emails. That was just for our personal contact. But I told you that I was proud of you. And I am, and I was, because too often it's, you know, people throwing in the towel. And they have that right. Like, I can't tell another man how to First Amendment or another woman how to Second Amendment. You know, each person has to make the decision that is best for their life. And you are over 3,000 videos. I think you're only the second person that turned down pleas like that, went all the way forward, and was willing to take the chance and take the gamble. And that's sad, folks, that he did nothing wrong. He went into a court of law to be judged with the presumption of innocence, and he had to consider that taking a gamble. The justice system should never be a gamble. A gamble is when you're rolling on the craps table, but I would say, and I would suggest, that you have a better chance at victory rolling on the craps table, because that's completely random. There's no someone with an agenda against a free person behind a craps table. I am proud of you, man. You followed this all the way through. You were willing to accept all and any consequences, regardless of how unjust they were. And you won. And you didn't just win for you. You won for all of us. I have a 5-month-old little girl and an 11-year-old little girl downstairs. right now that are living in a freer America because of the actions that you took. And I think everyone at home should be looking at this man's face and as solemnly as I am and thank him in the comments in detail for why you're thankful so we can read each one of them, because at times I lose faith in this community. At times I lose faith in this country. But it's once in a while I get a glimmer of hope like Josh. So Josh, thank you for what you did.
Thank you for what you do, because like literally after I sent you the video first, and you did the first video on it. They had to shut their Facebook page down, the Montrose Police Department. The comments were just insane. They had to shut their phone down. They couldn't answer the phone. I mean, it was.
But it makes them accountable.
But see, and then I think soon, like this is the crazy thing, is right after your video is when they upped the charge to an interference.
Yeah, retaliation is real. And folks, I never ask any of you to reach out to law enforcement. I simply get videos that I think are important and necessary for the newsworthy public consumption, and then I release them. And when I release them, I can't control what you guys at home do. I certainly do not urge or ask you to reach out to law enforcement in any way. You're free Americans, so you can do what you want. But cops seem to get upset. People watch a video. You're the second time this has happened. I just had another guy experience the same thing. People watch a video on their own without any coaxing. They go to engage in their First Amendment right to, challenge the government, question the government, and redress the government for a petition of their grievances. Then because the government has been redressed, they've been called out for what they did wrong, they turn around and they attempt to punish one person who's not responsible of any of it to begin with. These are the people that have control over our lives. We're lucky. We're lucky he's here to be able to face this lawsuit and to be able to face these charges. I mean, if that cop's boyfriend broke up with him earlier in the morning, or girlfriend, who knows? Josh might have not made it home. I mean, and that's a sad truth. Any emotional distress that they're going through can be the difference of life or death. And it's all responsible to the chief. He is he can't pass this off to the state or poor training. This is the chief's hand-molded minions.
Yep.
That's all it is. Anything else you want to say to the folks that have been watching you, man, before we go?
Thank you, Josh.
My girlfriend wants to thank you. She says thank you. I just, if you know that you've done nothing wrong, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Fight for your rights.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Folks, this guy is, I gotta say, he's a goddamn fucking American hero. That's exactly what he is. Activism is not the same now as it once was 7 years ago. It's not the same as it was in the 60s. This country and its people are ever evolving, as is the Constitution and case law. But one thing that remains resound is people's hope. Sometimes it can get squandered and squashed, but not in Josh's case. Folks, this has been the Montrose Police Department in Montrose, Colorado. I urge you to watch the video that's in the description, and you can just follow along, watch it. It's going to play after this. This is your government. This is your country. And don't ever let these clown costume thugs tell you otherwise. And if you're in a position where you don't know what to do, pull out your camera and use Josh as the tutorial, because that's the master class in how to keep America free, how to keep America safe, and how to keep America accountable. Until next time, that's the reason I stopped you today.